Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you're a CFO, a VP of Finance, or running the IT systems team, you already know that living in a dual system landscape is, well, it's a major headache. On one hand, you have Insperity brilliantly handling your complex payroll, multi-state tax compliance, and HR administration. But on the other hand, Oracle eBusiness Suite remains the absolute system of record for your general ledger, audits, and financial reporting. Today, we're going to unpack the crucial business case for bridging that gap between Insperity Payroll and Oracle EBS and show you exactly how to turn a manual nightmare into a seamless, automated flow.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the manual integration gap, look at the automated interface technical architecture, cover data staging and GL mapping, and then executing the GL interface. We'll wrap up by looking at setup, testing, and milestones, and finally, ROI and maintenance best practices.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the manual integration gap.
So we really have to ask this question right out of the gate. How much time is your team actually wasting manually entering payroll journals? Without an interface, your finance team is forced to rely on manual journal entries. You know the drill: extracting reports from Insperity, wrestling with massive spreadsheets, and manually typing data into Oracle EBS. This process introduces transcription errors, compliance risks, and painful delays in your month-end close. It's just simply not scalable as your organization grows.
But by automating this integration, we systematically replace those risks of manual entry with complete auditability and speed. We move away from delayed closes and limited scalability and step into real-time visibility into labor costs, systematic validation of every single line item, and a highly scalable architecture that handles your organizational growth effortlessly.
Moving right along to Section 2, Automated Interface Technical Architecture.
So, how does the engine actually work under the hood? Well, this workflow builds a super reliable batch-oriented process. It kicks off with Insperity generating structured CSV payroll result files right after a run. Those files are securely delivered to an SFTP server. Then, Oracle EBS retrieves the files via a custom concurrent program, pulling them straight into the database where all the pre-processing and validation occur before any accounting entries are even touched.
And this proven file-based integration pattern is backed by industry experts like Bizinsight Consulting, who literally specialize in these exact enterprise solutions. A massive benefit of this specific architecture is that it creates zero direct dependency on Insperity's real-time availability during processing. It's secure, it's decoupled, and it's incredibly reliable.
Next up is Section 3, Data Staging and GL Mapping.
Okay, so we use custom staging tables in Oracle to essentially act as a secure holding pen for the raw Insperity data. The Insperity payroll header table stores your top-level info, things like the payroll run ID, check dates, and overall processing status. Meanwhile, the Insperity payroll detail table stores the granular line-level data. We're talking earnings, taxes, deductions, and employer costs. We strictly stage it here before any double-entry accounting rules are applied.
Now, to actually make sense of that staged data, we use the Insperity GL mapping table. You can think of this as your master financial translator. When new payroll categories pop up, you simply configure them right here to route seamlessly into Oracle's complex dialect of natural account codes, applying the correct debit or credit flags along the way.
You can see here exactly how this multi-segment chart of accounts mapping dynamically populates the required company, department, and account segments. For example, if Insperity shows regular wages for Department 100, the mapping table automatically routes that to Segment 3, Account 5100, for salary expense, while keeping the department code totally intact. It's a highly precise, rule-based distribution.
Which brings us to Section 4, Executing the GL Interface.
This is where the magic really happens. A custom PL SQL package executes the core transformation logic, querying that mapping table we just discussed to calculate perfectly balanced debit and credit entries. It then cleanly formats the data into Oracle's standard GL interface table. It groups all the lines for a specific payroll run using a unique group ID, sets the source name so your team knows exactly where it came from, and marks the status as new so the system knows it's ready for processing.
And here is the best part. Instead of writing risky custom posting logic, the interface simply submits Oracle's standard journal import program. You probably know it as GLLEZ. This native program takes over to rigorously validate the chart of account combinations, verify that the accounting periods are actually open, and ensure debits equal credits. Once it's validated, it posts them safely to the GL journals tables and updates the status to either processed or error.
And a final result, a beautifully balanced entry that happens without a single human keystroke. You can see how $50,000 properly reflects salary expenses against corresponding liabilities, like $45,000 in net pay to the clearing account and the required tax withholdings. The whole shebang balances perfectly, exactly as standard double-entry accounting requires.
Let's pivot slightly to Section 5, Setup, Testing, and Milestones.
To make this a reality, we follow a really clear project roadmap that ensures absolutely nothing is missed over an 8-week sprint. Weeks 1 and 2 are heavily focused on getting that mapping configuration dialed in perfectly. Then we build the SFTP integration. Crucially, in weeks 5 and 6, every edge case, from off-cycle payments and complex year-end bonuses to tricky multi-state tax scenarios, is rigorously tested with actual data before we ever think about going live.
From an IT controls and audit perspective, weeks 7 and 8 are vital. This is where we implement strict error resolution workflows. We build in idempotency, which is just a fancy technical way of guaranteeing that even if a file is somehow run twice, we will never create duplicate journal entries. We also ensure pre-post reconciliation checks are rock solid, maintaining total traceability from the Oracle GL directly back to the source Insperity file.
Finally, let's look at Section 6, ROI and Maintenance Best Practices.
Look, this is the number that matters most to your bottom line. This automated interface saves finance teams a massive 4 to 8 hours per pay period. By eliminating the manual data entry and all the subsequent corrections that come with it, you are accelerating your month-end financial close by up to 2 full days. That is a real game changer.
But of course, even the best automation requires a little upkeep. To maintain this scalability, you've got to follow some simple best practices. You need to document mapping changes using effective dates. You still need to plan for exceptions, like highly unusual bonuses. You absolutely must set automated alerts for any failed runs, and always tie your GL payroll expense back to the Insperity registers during your monthly reconciliation. Doing this ensures your controls stay perfectly aligned month after month.
By totally eliminating manual transcription, you empower your team to actually focus on strategic variance analysis and real financial planning. You've seen the architecture, you've seen the auditability, and you've seen the massive time saved. So the only question left is, are you ready to transform your financial close? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I hope this provided a really clear, structured view into making this integration a reality for your team.